So you might have heard of something called Apple's walled garden, and in my opinion, it is the single biggest differentiator when it comes to comparing Apple to its competitors like a Samsung, like a Google, and like a Microsoft. Because when you start to compare a laptop to a laptop from another company, at the end of the day, they can kind of do about 90 to 95% of the same things. So that's where Apple's walled garden begins to shine because of the fact that they own all the software and all the hardware. All of your different Apple devices communicate with each other, and sometimes it feels like it's magic with some of the things that it can do. So that's exactly what I'm going to show you in this video. Talk about 15 different Apple ecosystem and Mac ecosystem features that are really going to go above and beyond and will, at the end of the day, wow you and then become a part of your everyday workflow. So without further ado, let's talk about those features and prepare to be wowed. Let's get into it. So before we get started, do make sure that you're signed into the same Apple ID across all these devices to make sure that this works as best as possible, because most of these features you need to be signed into the same Apple ID in order for them to work. And then secondly, to get the best outcome possible, also try to be on the same Wi-Fi. Although not needed if you do have a data-enabled device, being on the same Wi-Fi will help all these features immensely. So now, let's get into the first one, which has to be copy and paste. So this first feature has to be by far my most used feature when it comes to the Apple ecosystem, and it has to do with copy, cut, and pasting and continuity across all your devices. So basically what this allows you to do is copy something from your iPad or your iOS device and then paste it over to your macOS computer and vice versa, which is something that I think is absolutely magical. And now this works, not only does it work with text, but it also works with images. So I love this feature because I can copy and paste across my devices without needing to maybe paste it into a note or maybe email it to myself or something like that. And then to make sure that this is turned on, as well as to make sure that a lot of these handoff and continuity features are turned on, make sure you go into your system settings in your Mac computer, then go over to General, then hop over to where it says AirPlay and Handoff, and make sure that that first toggle is turned on. And this will allow for this copy and paste continuity feature to work, as well as some other ones that we're going to be talking about as this video continues. But that is my number one and probably my most used feature, copy and paste across all your devices. So this next feature is called Universal Control, and this feature is here to allow you to use your iPad in conjunction with your macOS computer while keeping your iPad in iPadOS. We'll talk about how to get Sidecar going in a second, but Universal Control basically allows you to have your Mac computer set up and then have your iPad on the left, right, underneath, or on top, and basically allows you to use the same peripherals that you have on your Mac computer to control your iPad. So that same keyboard and mouse you're using to control the mouse as well as the keyboard on your macOS computer can then be used to control your iPad. So you can drag your mouse from your macOS computer over to your iPadOS iPad and then mess around in there and then go back. And what's nice about this is that not only does this allow you to use just one set of peripherals to control all of your devices, and then secondly, you can drag and drop files to a certain extent and depends on the application, but if you're using Apple native applications and let's say you want to drag and drop something from your Files app on your iPad over to let's say your desktop on your Mac, you can easily do that. Same thing goes maybe the Photos application. If you have a photo in your iPad library that you want to move over to your macOS desktop, you can easily drag and drop across the devices without needing to be plugged in and doing all this wirelessly as if they are working together as one, because that's exactly what they're doing. But now what if you have an iPad and you want to use your iPad as a secondary display or as a supplemental display for your macOS computer and your macOS operating system? You can easily do that by turning on Sidecar, and then that'll shut off iPadOS and then turn your iPad into just a secondary display for your Mac computer, which is one of my favorite ways to use my iPad on the go. So if you have your Mac laptop alongside your iPad and you want to continue to use your macOS computer but have an extended display to maybe have some other windows open there, you can easily do that, and that turns into an application inside of iPadOS that then can be used across both devices. And then to continue on with the synergies you get between the iPad and the Mac, and that's why I always say getting both of them is the best case scenario, although I'm a big iPad guy as you all know. But let's say you are taking a screenshot of something on your macOS computer. If you have your iPad next to you laying around, it doesn't even need to be turned on as long as the screen is open and it's not in some sort of folio case. You can then annotate that screenshot from your macOS computer on your iPad automatically, which is an amazing thing to see. So for instance, in this example, I took a screenshot of my macOS desktop and then it automatically showed up on my iPad because my iPad was turned on. I annotated it a little bit, I pressed done on the iPad, and now that turns into a JPEG on your actual macOS computer that you can then use however you see fit. So this is great to annotate things on the fly if you need to share something, maybe you need to sign some documents that are on your macOS computer and you just want to screenshot it and sign it and send it. This is great because again, it's never going to be on your iPad, this is all done on macOS. You're just using the beautiful power of the Apple Pencil on your iPad and its display to annotate it a little bit more precisely. So now let's move on from the iPad continuity and talk about the Apple Watch and how that's helped me from a everyday perspective when using my macOS computer. So first and foremost, as you've seen, I picked up a Mac Mini, and one of the things with the Mac Mini is that it does not come with the certified Apple peripherals like a Magic Keyboard and things of that nature, meaning that you do not get Touch ID built in. Now, instead of going out and buying a first-party one that does cost anywhere from $150 to $200, you can actually use your Apple Watch to unlock your macOS computer wirelessly, so you don't have to worry about typing in a password every single time you log in, nor do you have to worry about spending the almost $200 for a Touch ID enabled keyboard. To set this up is very easy. Just go into your macOS settings, go into your system settings, go into your privacy settings, and then you'll have an option there for your Apple Watch to be used to unlock your macOS computer, and it works 100% of the time. So the moment I press a spacebar on my Satechi keyboard, it'll bring up the screen, and before it even goes into that login screen to type in your password, it'll say unlocking with Apple Watch. You'll get a little buzz on your Apple Watch as long as your Apple Watch is on your wrist, so it can't be locked and off of your wrist, of course, because then anybody can get in. But if it's on your wrist and it's unlocked, it'll unlock your macOS computer, which has been amazing to me. And then in that same light, it works the same way when you are auto-filling passwords. So if you're in Safari, or even when you're in Chrome, instead of using Touch ID to biometrically confirm that it's you and then put your password in, you can use your Apple Watch and double click on the side button in order to input that password for that website or for your email or for whatever the case is, and then you can sign in to those third-party platforms and softwares and websites. So using your Apple Watch as a biometric unlock, whether it is to get into your macOS computer or to autofill passwords, that saved me a ton of time and it saved me money because I don't have to have a $200 Touch ID enabled wireless Magic Keyboard. And in that same light, when it comes to password management, iCloud Keychain and iCloud Passwords is something that's been very easy to use, and now there is a dedicated application for you to be able to monitor and manage and look at all your passwords to make sure that everything is there from a privacy perspective. But it's very simple, basically using your iCloud Keychain password in order to be able to log in and save an abundance of different passwords and also auto-create passwords. So just using that is something that I use by default in order to be able to stay as safe as possible and also be able to use something like my Apple Watch to autofill and then unlock via Safari. And then to continue on the iCloud situation, being able to use iCloud from a file management system has helped me tremendously when it comes to my YouTube workflow. So for instance, I will create my thumbnails in Affinity Photo on my iPad, and then when I go out to export them and save them, instead of saving them on my iPad device or saving them, let's say on an external SSD, I actually save them on my iCloud desktop, meaning that within seconds I'll save that thumbnail, and instead of showing up on my iPad, it actually shows up on my iCloud desktop, which means it'll show up on my Mac Mini immediately, and then I can use it to upload it via the YouTube Studio, inside of Safari, inside of my Mac Mini, and then if I do need to access it after the fact on my iPhone or on my iPad, I just log into my iCloud file system and I'm able to pull it up in full resolution with no problems whatsoever. So being able to have that kind of iCloud syncing across all my devices is something that I use on a daily basis as well, and it works with pretty much anything that you can save as a file system. So think Word documents, Excel documents, any files for that matter, images, text, you name it, it'll work inside of iCloud. So now let's quickly talk about AirPods, because I did want to have a little section for them, and this is for pretty much any modern AirPods. So AirPods 4 with and without active noise cancellation, AirPods Pro Gen 2, as well as the AirPods Max, and then has to be the multi-point solution. Now there's an abundance of Bluetooth headphones now that do have multi-point solutions, but none are going to work better than AirPods for Mac computers because they are built in and they are logged into the same Apple ID, meaning that when I have my AirPods in and I have multiple devices on, it's always looking for media that's playing. So if I have something playing on my iPad and then all of a sudden I have something that starts to play on my macOS computer, it'll actually pause what's on the iPad and then default to the new version of whatever media is playing. But if you want to, there is that little drop-down menu that shows up, which allows you to move your AirPods back to where they were in its original source. So just I wanted to highlight AirPods in general from a connectivity and continuity standpoint, that it'll sync across all of your devices, whether it is your Apple Watch, your iPhone, your Mac, or your iPad, as long as you have them connected to the same Apple ID. So AirPods for the win. So I did want to also mention AirDrop as well as AirPlay because they're kind of in the same world and they still also have to do with handoff somewhat. So with AirDrop, it does allow you to basically send any type of media, whether it is videos, whether it is links, whether it is files, whether it is just a simple text or anything like that, and allows you to AirDrop it to other iOS, macOS, or iPadOS devices. And you can also transfer files and things like that and other media to other devices that aren't part of your Apple ID network as long as they are an Apple device, and that does also work to send some larger files. I overall like AirDrop because it's an easy way to send larger files, but again, sometimes it takes a little while, sometimes it kind of cancels itself out, so it's kind of hit or miss, but when it does work, it does feel like it is magic. And same thing goes with AirPlay. AirPlay does provide a little bit more confidence when you do have them logged in and using on the same Wi-Fi, but basically how I use AirPlay is for a lot of my speaker systems, especially in the Sonos ecosystem. Having an AirPlay ready maybe speaker or device basically not only uses Bluetooth, but mostly uses Wi-Fi and making sure that you're on the same Wi-Fi network. If you have devices that are on the same Wi-Fi network, any media that you want, whether it is from your macOS, your iPadOS, or your iOS device, can be played on those speakers or on that system or whatever the case may be. And same thing goes with video out. So let's say you want to put some video out on an AirPlay device like an Apple TV, you can video that out wirelessly from whatever iOS, iPadOS, or macOS device as long as you're on the same Wi-Fi network. So AirPlay has been amazing for my Sonos system, and it's also been great now that we have Apple TV 4K, being able to play things directly from our devices, whether it is some media from YouTube or something maybe you want to share from your photo library that you maybe recorded, and now you're sharing it with your loved ones during the holiday season. Always a special thing to have. So now let's talk about the final three that I have here, and we are rounding this off nicely. This next one is for only Vision Pro users, and that's kind of why I put it at the end here, because not a lot of people have it. I, for instance, don't even have it anymore because I ended up selling it. With the latest version of Vision OS, we can now actually have a virtual display for your Mac computer. So I just wanted to highlight this. This was available at launch when it first released, but it was a little bit kind of watered down. But now you can have these crazy ultra wide and immersive monitors to be able to use your macOS computer through your Vision Pro. So if you do have a Vision Pro and you're updating to the latest version of Vision OS, you will basically have the best possible virtual display for your Mac computer, all because of Apple's walled garden, because it only works with macOS. And then also, if you are on the latest version of macOS Sequoia, and this came out recently with 15.1, you have the ability to mirror your iPhone completely on your macOS computer. So this is very easy to do. Basically, if you have your iPhone turned on, and then you turn on iPhone mirroring, which I'll show you on the screen right now, you can basically have a side-by-side of your iPhone on your monitor, be able to enlarge it a little bit, and you can fully interact with it. So you can send iMessages through there, you can order a DoorDash through there, you can manage your Safari in there, you can do anything that you could do from your iPhone over on your macOS computer through your iPhone kind of emulator. And not only that, but then you also get all the notifications that come with your iPhone. So I really like this as a less distracting feature because I can still get my iPhone notifications without needing to go back to my iPhone every single time. So that is iPhone mirroring for macOS Sequoia. But you do need to be on at least 18.1 on your iOS device as well as 15.1 on your macOS device for this one. And then last but not least, my absolute favorite continuity feature has to be continuity camera. In that same light of ordering a Mac Mini, of course with the Mac Mini you only get the computer and no peripherals, so you do need to get an external monitor. Now most external monitors don't have a built-in webcam unless you get something like a studio display, so being able to just use your iPhone camera, which in my opinion is going to be the best webcam period because it's using the main sensors on the rear, so you are using that best iPhone main camera, which is 48 megapixels, which in my opinion will outduel any other dedicated webcam. So being able to use continuity camera is going to be an amazing thing to see. And it works not just with FaceTime, but it works any single time that a webcam opportunity presents itself. So it'll work with Google Meet. So if you're recording a video podcast through different platforms, it'll work that way. And that's actually how we record our 9 to 5 Overtime podcast. I use my iPhone 16 Pro Max camera with continuity camera. So it makes it very easy and seamless to then be able to edit that after the fact. So continuity camera, whether it is a Zoom call, a FaceTime, using it for something like Riverside for a podcast, has been one of my most used and one of my favorite kind of aha magic moments from Apple's walled garden, and that is continuity camera. But those are all the features that I wanted to highlight. Let's finish it up. So that will do it for this video, everybody. As you saw, the Apple ecosystem does give you some of those magical and wow moments, like being able to copy and paste across different devices, having things like continuity camera that saves you money because you don't have to buy a dedicated web camera, or being able to use your Apple Watch to unlock your computer, so you don't have to get a keyboard with Touch ID to unlock your computer. There's an abundance of different features that are continuously added to the Apple ecosystem, and the more different pieces of hardware that you add, the more of these features you're going to start to realize on a day-to-day basis. So let me know in the comment down below of your favorite Apple ecosystem feature, whether I talked about it in this video, or maybe there's another one that I don't know about that I will eventually add to my workflow because, again, these are just big wow moments that I absolutely love that I use on a daily basis. But that'll do it, everybody. If you did make it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. And if you want to watch more videos like this one, definitely check out one of these videos right here. And if you guys are still in that Black Friday, Cyber Monday kind of talk track, these videos will also help out to give you the best possible deals on Apple products. But that'll do it. Until next time, I'm Fernando. Peace, everybody.